Hi folks, Dr. Tom Meade, and welcome to our show. By popular demand, we're back with our guests from our last show, Maria Rodale, CEO and Chairman of Rodale Incorporated. We had a great show on her new book called Organic Manifesto. And after discussing many things that we wanted to on organic farming, we didn't get through the 5 solutions that Maria proposed in her book to help us from being exterminated by the pesticides poisoning our farms and being suffocated by the carbon emissions on our planet. So we're back to go over those. If you missed our first show, you can see it archived on ssptv.com, so don't worry about it. Maria, thanks for coming back.
Sure, thank you. It's great to be here.
It was exciting. So we're looking at 5 solutions. We have to restore the Earth's natural ability to absorb and store carbon. And there's 5 things that we can do. And I'm going to kind of jump ahead because the most important thing is we all have to demand organic. And that's down the list here, and we'll come back to that. But we talked about the first one, and we can't do it on our own, but we can certainly encourage our lawmakers locally to stop subsidizing the organic, not the organic, we want them to subsidize the organic part. We don't want them to subsidize the chemicals that are poisoning the earth. And that's going to be a long process, but Maria came up with a great answer. Just approach it one chemical at a time, and it's a stepwise process, and perhaps we could accomplish that. Farmers, supply the organic demand that we need. That's a double-edged sword. If we all demand organic, can they supply it, Maria, or will economics take over?
Well, right now, actually, I know a lot of companies who make organic foods, and they can't find enough organic products in the United States, which is why they're having to go to China to get organic food, and to Europe, and to Australia. So there is a huge market in the United States for farmers if they switch to organic to sell their food at a much higher value than they're currently getting. So it's a great opportunity for farmers.
How long would it take a conventional farmer to switch to an organic farm?
To be certified organic, the USDA requires a 3-year transition period. And that's the controversy. That's the 3 years where they need help. They need support from the government. They need help from, bankers and subsidies, so that they're not just doing it and not benefiting right away.
Businesses create innovative solutions, and there's companies like Patagonia that we all buy our clothes and our backpacks and our tents from, and Whole Foods. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah. It's a really exciting time to create new products and new ideas and new ways to get these, to make the world more organic. Because actually cotton, for example, is one of the most intensively chemical crops that's grown. They use like 20% of all the chemicals. So just choosing organic clothing and but we need more designers, more fashion designers using those products.
I think we're so used to the principles of the Industrial Revolution. We have to produce more, faster, bigger, stronger. We have to grow or we're dead in the water.
Right.
And perhaps growth shouldn't be our biggest goal here, but it should be the strength of what we grow.
Right. Well, what I say is measure strength, not growth. And if you look at nature is in cycles. There's the period of growth and there's the period of dormancy, but over time you want things to get better and to improve and to be stronger. And that's the new paradigm of how we should be looking at our economy and our own lives.
And number 5 is demand organic. If we demand organic, you know what? The marketplace will respond to us. And I think we're seeing that. I think it's a lot different, Maria, than when your dad and your grandfather were trying to sell this stuff.
Totally. We have to vote with our dollars.
We have to vote with our dollars. So that concludes our 5 solutions. We have a lot more to talk about organically, but I want to introduce our second guest, Dawn Brazick. Welcome, Dawn.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Dawn is a nurse that I have known for 20 years in the operating room. She's phenomenal, professional, and some might say that Dawn, you follow the beat of a different drummer, if you will. You don't follow the traditional path, and certainly in nursing you're on a very traditional path, but you too have a great interest in the earth and in soil, and you have a side business which is landscaping, which is dealing in And so are you still doing landscaping?
Yes, I do that full time for 8 months of the year.
Full time. So anybody that wants a great landscaper, they can call Dawn at this number. But anyway, Dawn, I'll put a little plug in for you. But what's really impressive is in the last year, I was very impressed to know you. And here's a picture of Dawn. And is this your farm? Is this your place?
Is. Yes.
So all of a sudden, Dawn makes the headlines in the local paper, where she was trying a year-long experiment in eating foods grown or raised locally within 125 miles of her home. What was your challenge? What put you on that mission, Dawn?
I read a book called Plenty by Alyssa Smith and James McGannon, and they did an experiment eating within 100 miles. So I wanted to try it for 125 miles because I make my own sea salt from the ocean, and 125 miles takes me to Long Beach Island. That's why I chose the mileage range. And I wanted to try to live off the land and be kind to Mother Nature and get to know my community better.
So you not only had personal goals, but did you have a greater goal that this would bring awareness to local farmers, help the community?
Definitely. And the thing with reducing my carbon footprint, the average food plate travels 1,500 to 2,500 miles to reach your table. It's a lot of miles for one plate of food.
Wow.
You know, I have a farm, I go out my back door, my miles are 0. Most of my miles are 0 for a lot of my meals. And I think that's a very important thing.
So your goal was to eat for a year with locally grown foods, and within a 25-mile radius. What % of your food that you eat do you buy at a store, the % that you buy at a farmer's market, and the % that you pick from your backyard, if you had a guess?
Well, I used to shop at Wegmans faithfully. I don't go to I can buy mushrooms from Wegmans, that is it.
Because?
Nothing's produced locally there, except their local produce at this time of the year. But most of the time I go to the local farmer's market and my own garden. So my own garden's probably 60%, and farmer's markets are probably 40%. Huh. Because I buy my meat at the farmer's markets also. Most of the things that I eat are organic, I would say 80%. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to reach for that goal myself.
Yay.
But it's very difficult with some of the things.
I shop at a lot of the local stores and the farmers markets, and I do think that it's seasonal. Don't stores like the Giant and Wegmans have some local fruits and vegetables that come in seasonally?
Yes, they do, but it's such a short span of time. And when they're selling the local produce, so are the farmers markets and the local farms. So I'd rather support the farmers directly and buy from the people at the market. I want to see who grows my food. I want to talk to them. I want to know what chemicals they're using or if it's truly organic. And it's a major issue. So,
what's the difference between locally grown food, organic ingredients? There's a lot of confusion out there. We'll try to clear it up right after this message.
Every surgery requires recovery. You can make yours virtually pain-free with OnQ Pain Buster. OnQ delivers local anesthetic continuously to the surgical site for up to 5 days. Many surgeons rely on OnQ for pain relief that's superior to narcotics, helping you get back on your feet faster and feeling better. Ask your surgeon for OnQ. For more information, visit askyoursurgeon.com. OnQ Pain Buster, redefining recovery.
Folks, welcome back. My guests are Maria Rodale, CEO and Chairman of Rodale Press. We are talking about Organic Manifesto, and our guest, Dawn Brazick, who has challenged herself to eat locally for a year. Dawn, when I was thinking of this, I was thinking it's great to eat locally, but if you eat locally by an industrial farmed or a chemically farmed facility or institution, is that doing you any good for the reasons we talked about? Would you just be contaminated with their pesticides, whether it's here or in the Midwest somewhere?
I mean, that is possible, certainly. The meat that I purchase, it's grass-fed, organic. None of the meat is industrial-raised meat. I purchase organic products when I can, but even certified organic products have a certain degree of pesticides in them, unfortunately. So I just do the best that I can and try to research where my food comes from.
How about organic wine? We have a lot of wineries around this area.
I drink a lot of wine, but I haven't found organic wine, unfortunately.
There is organic wine, actually. I've seen it in the wine stores, but most of it, I think, comes from the West Coast. Yeah. Even though we have a lot of wineries around here, I'm not aware of any organically grown local wine. Maria, how are you?
Well, I stopped drinking 10 years ago, so I don't keep track of it anymore. Okay. But I know there are a lot of California wineries that are organic and a few French wineries, but I couldn't help you there.
Dawn, personal health benefits. Have you seen any dramatic changes in your physical being?
I've lost 10 pounds without trying. I feel more alert because my coffee consumption has, of course, decreased drastically. And I feel like I have more energy at the end of the day. I'm getting a little bit older, and I just feel better. And I feel better because I feel so connected to things. I've never been happier. It's one of the best things I've ever done.
Do you think this will be will this change your lifestyle? Will this become part of your being and what you do after you're done?
Yes, this is a part of my life. The only drawback is from a social aspect, because there aren't many organic or locally supported restaurants in the area. There are a few, but it's hard to eat out. It's hard to meet friends. Just have to eat what's offered. Social networking, do you find yourself belonging to local organic farm co-ops or anything like that? No.
No?
No. Well, you have your own farm.
Well, I have my own farm.
Yeah.
You have your own farm. How big is it?
It's an acre and a half, but most of it's, I have an acre planting field. So you can grow a lot in an acre. Do
you find all the energy of your life is in pursuing these foods? Are you a prisoner to this, or is it part of your passion and lifestyle?
It's part of my passion. It's part of my lifestyle. It's a lot of work, but I don't watch TV. I read a lot of books, but most of them are about gardening. And I get sunshine, I get exercise, and it's a wonderful thing.
Maria's grandfather and dad, they were on the fence of, half the time being considered eccentric or a kook or crazy. Are you embraced now are you admired and looked up to by your friends or coworkers, or are you kind of looked at skeptically?
Well, in the beginning, I received a lot of skeptical looks, and I still receive a few, but people are starting to listen to what I'm saying, and they're watching what I'm doing, and they're honoring the commitment that I'm making with my food choices. So I think they're starting to come around a bit.
You know what you always find out is when people kind of get you alone and they're asking you questions. Do you find that you find it in sports, you do well in an event and they're going, what kind of bike do you ride? Or how do you train? Or what did you eat? Do you get a lot of one-on-one where people maybe come up to you and say, well, Dawn, how do you do this? Or where can I buy this locally grown product?
Yes, quite frequently, actually. When I do go to the grocery store to buy dry products, I have some people in the grocery store recognize me and stop and ask me questions, and the postman. And so I think reaching people, which is my whole goal for this project.
Are you that girl? They come up to you. Are you that? Are you her? Are you that girl? Are you her? Maria, do you have an organic garden at your house?
I do actually. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And actually, I grew up right around the corner from Bob and Artie's farm. Do they still farm that one?
Yes. Yes. Well, my parents are no longer alive, as you know, but
right.
But the family still farms that and grows a lot of the food for our employees, for our cafeterias. There's a summer camp there for our employees' children, and we share it a lot with the community as well. So gardening is just a part of, once you start, it's hard to stop.
And I'd like to thank Maria and Rodale because they have recently started producing organic local flour.
Yeah.
It has saved my life. I don't have to grind the flour. I have my own flour mill that I grind the flour.
It? The Rodale Institute
Yes.
out in Maxitani.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a major find for myself for my project.
I was wondering.
Yes.
I was wondering.
Maria, what was the ongoing experiment started by your dad and your grandfather to prove that organic farming was sustainable and it was?
Well, out at the Rodale Institute in Maxitani, we have the longest running scientific study in the world comparing organic agriculture to chemical agriculture. So you can go out and visit and see the different plots, and we've been measuring productivity, disease problems, soil quality, carbon levels for almost 30 years. In fact, next year will be the 30th anniversary. And that's where we've been. When I say organic farming is more productive, it's, you know, more resistant to droughts and floods, and, you know, the soil holds more carbon, I'm quoting that research. And it's been studied by scientists around the world. It's actually been funded by the USDA, so it's a very important study.
Does it continue?
Yes.
It continues to this day.
And it will keep continuing.
You know, it drives me crazy. They call it conventional farming.
I know. I call it chemical.
Oh, I call it chemical. I was thinking conventional. If you think for the length of time humans have inhabited this earth, you know, conventional farming is where you plant seeds and you grow stuff naturally. You know what I mean?
It's organic. Organic farming is truly the most conventional form of farming. Yeah. And do you have problems with it?
I noticed a few more problems this year because I've been growing a lot more produce. You have to work through the problems and find some solutions that don't involve chemicals.
Yeah.
Challenging.
It's challenging.
There's a lot of confusion, folks, out there on the labeling. Nothing is simple. You know, you want to do the right thing, and you see something that says 100% organic. You see something that says organic. You see something that says has organic products or materials in it. And something is all natural. It's confusing to me. We'll try to clear that up when we come back after this message. Stick with us.
Does hip pain affect your daily activities? Stryker's revolutionary new anatomic hip replacement may help.
The issue is quality of life. I think it all boils down to that.
Call 1-888-STRYKER to find out which Stryker anatomic hip option is right for you. Stryker's new anatomic hip is designed to help restore your range of motion so you can get back to what's important to you. For details about Stryker's anatomic hip options, call 1-888-STRYKER or visit aboutstryker.com.
Folks, welcome back, where my guests are Maria Rodale, CEO of Rodale Incorporated, and Dawn Brazick, nurse, made infamous in the past year for challenging herself to eat locally. Dawn, what's sea salt? Is that better than the salt we get in the store?
Well, I don't know about that, but I actually made my own salt from the ocean water, boiled it down. It's a little bit powdery, but it works.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know the difference.
It doesn't contain iodine.
I guess there's no iodine in it,
yes.
right? So that's the big difference.
Interesting.
So let's take a shot at the labeling, Maria. What's the best label that we could look for out there?
Well, the label that is the most trustworthy and most regulated is the USDA certified organic label. It's you know, you see it on anything that is certified by the USDA according to its rules that it's organic. So that's the label I recommend that people look for. Natural really the word natural has no regulations associated with it, so anybody can use that word to mean anything. I mean, people love that word because it feels good, but it doesn't really mean anything from a legal standpoint.
So is the USDA the friend of organic farmers? Have they done a good job?
They've done a pretty darn good job for being a government organization. It took almost 20 years for them it took 10 years for everybody to agree on what would what should be involved in the certification process, and then 10 more years to develop those regulations in the system. There's inspectors that go out to a certified organic farmer's farm, and so it's a very reliable label.
Yeah, I do get the sense that they are under a lot of pressure and pushback to soften the labeling just so that everybody could get a piece of this marketing thing. And I do, from what the little I've read, I do get a sense that at the highest level, but you almost need to see those, you know, you need to see those levels. It's kind of like, you know, the USDA does beef, you know, prime and choice. It's all confusing unless they sort of level it. But if something is 100% organic with that seal, and then there's an organic, apparently, term where they can have up to 90 or 95% organic.
I think if it says on the label, you know, made with organic ingredients, you can say that if it's a certain percentage. But the safest thing to do is to look for that organic, USDA organic seal.
The organic. Does the president's wife have an organic garden?
Well, she has not come out and used the word organic. She has a garden that does not use chemicals. But just the fact that she has said she doesn't use chemicals has created this backlash in the chemical industry. She's gotten a lot of hate mail from chemical companies that, you know, why aren't you supporting, you know, your country's businesses. But I know for a fact that she does not use chemicals on that garden. So it would be organic.
It would be. But it really is a sad testament to the fact that the First Lady cannot come out and be proud of how healthy the food is that she's growing, and she espouses that to our public school systems because of the enormous political pressures and the lobbying money that is obscene.
It's bullying. It's outright bullying and intimidation, and it's not right. It's not right. And I know, you know, local politicians face it. You know, the First Lady faces it. It's not acceptable.
And I'm sure if we drill down far enough, we would find out where the contributions came for the campaign, and it's sad, but it's why it's so hard to reverse some of these tax subsidies and people that are only in office for 4 years, and, you know, and that sort of thing. So it's certainly an uphill battle, but
it's why it's so important for us to pay attention and to do what we can to demand organic.
Yes, and you know, people will complain about the cost of organic food, and I know there's arguments in your book which are phenomenal that it's really not expensive. It's just that traditional or chemically farmed food is so subsidized that without that it would be more expensive. But when you look at the discussion that we had earlier, the cost to your body and health care over the long run, even the few cents that it costs extra sometimes for organic food has to be well worth it.
Well, I mean, the question is, what's the price of health? You know, good health is priceless. But I'm curious to know what you faced. I mean, do you pay more for your food now that you're eating locally, or has your grocery bill gone up or down?
I would say it's less because I don't go grocery shopping, and nothing's processed.
Right.
And I grow a lot of my food, so that's very helpful.
Right.
So I would say it's less, and I don't go out to eat as often,
Yeah.
so that all balances out, and I pay less.
Right.
You throw out a lot of food.
No, I don't waste anything.
No.
No.
So the food doesn't go bad. You don't have food that's...
No, I've never boiled so many bones in my whole life to make chicken broth. You know, you eat the meat and you use every part of everything.
Do you grill?
Yes.
You do. You know, there's controversy out there on grilling. Is it too hot? Does that produce carcinogens? You know, I guess you could go through life worrying about everything, but but how about fish? Do you eat fish or meat?
I have some bluefish from the ocean, from Long Beach Island. That's the extent of my fish.
Is it within
supply.
100? Is it real close to shore?
Yes, it was a couple miles offshore from a good
That could be
friend of mine.
126 miles if you went out.
Hopefully not. And Long Beach Island clams.
Oh.
So clams and bluefish are the extent of my seafood fish right now. So I miss seafood quite a bit.
How about trout? Do you go fishing at?
Yes,
yeah?
I'm a fisherwoman.
Oh, good.
Yes, I eat trout.
Uh-huh.
Very good.
You know what, it's sad to say, but I fished a lot when I was a kid in the streams of Pennsylvania, but I'm extremely hesitant to eat a fish that I caught in Pennsylvania only because of the heavy metals and toxins that I know they've been tested in the streams. I mean, it's sad.
It is sad.
It is true. Too.
But I mean, you try to do a good thing, you eat fish, and then you look at you know, the carbon blueprint that produces the fossil fuels that put all the mercury in the air that end up in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just the toxins just keep collecting, you know, whether it's in the water or the fish or the soil or the food or our bodies. So, and you know, it's kind of crazy because you don't need it, and you just don't need it. You know?
Does it taste better, Dawn and Maria?
What, the food?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've never eaten so good. I mean, right now I'm making tomato sauce, ketchup, stewed tomatoes, dehydrated tomatoes, everything you could think of.
Isn't it interesting? The Time magazine article that we quoted earlier had this big tomato that's unbelievable in size and color, and it's absolutely tasteless because it was chemically farmed. And they surveyed a bunch of chefs across the country, and not 100%, but the overwhelming majority in almost all food groups would state that the organically grown food was more tasteful.
Well, I use my toughest critics on that are my kids, and they're the ones who tell me whether it tastes better or not. And I asked them a couple weeks ago. I was like, "Tell me the truth, organic versus chemical," because they eat out and they're like, organic tastes much better.
Folks, there you have it. Two experts, Maria Rodale, who has a genetic disposition to be attached to organic farming and food, and she does a wonderful job of promoting this across the globe. Dawn Brazick, who lives and breathes, she walks the walk and talks the talk, and she's a hero to many local people for doing what she's doing. Folks, I hope you've learned a lot. I certainly did, so don't forget, demand organic. If you took one thing out of this show, demand organic. Thanks for joining me. Guests, they're unbelievable. Maria, Dawn, thanks for being here. It was terrific.
Thank you
and
so much.
we've learned an awful lot.